Today we're taking a look at the Emperor. It's actually quite useful to compare and contrast the Emperor and the Empress, because you do sometimes find the two of them appearing in one reading, where you have a relationship. I always think a little bit like Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, where you have people who are like a salt and pepper pot. They're male and female versions of each other. They're both dynamic, they're both leaders, they both want to take charge. Relationships like this can be very rewarding, but they're very hard work. The thing with the Emperor and equally the Empress is they are both very strong people. The Empress, think Anita Roddick, Dame Anita Roddick, the amazing woman who set up the Body Shop. She set up a global empire. The Emperor, think perhaps Bill Gates, Richard Branson. Richard Branson began as a magician and evolved into an emperor. But, Bill Gates, someone who built an empire. Yeah. Good leaders are people who see potential in other people. I think Henry VIII was like this, actually. They know how to appoint people who know what they're doing, and eventually you get to the stage where all you have to do is just sit back and let everyone else do the work for you. Yeah. Come on, we've all met emperor type people. This is very much male energy. Come back to that in a moment. Emperor type characters, very often self-employed, work for themselves, very often employ other people, or they climb the ladder quite quickly and become managers quite quickly, because their talent is kind of standing in the middle and telling everyone else what to do. I would say they very seldom make their own coffee. Yeah. They tend to have other people who do things like make their coffee for them. Yes. So often appears in a reading as a current partner, sometimes an ex-partner. For two strong characters, for a strong woman, a kind of Empress, Queen of Coins type, or the card of strength type lady, relationships can be great, but it's always quite it's never easy. Yeah. But they're very often unfaithful as well. The other time they will appear in a reading is if you are, look, all right, you bear with me here. This is what it's really like out there. Very common question that querents ask of a tarot reader is, when is he going to leave his wife for me? If you have issues with this, you may not want to read for strangers, because this is the kind of thing that people ask. You're very often talking to the other woman, and emperor type men, they've got no intention of ever leaving their wife. They just see themselves as being sort of, not all of them. I'm just saying, not every emperor man in a reading is going to be being unfaithful, but they do tend to like to have a harem as well as an empire. Yeah. But as tarot readers, we are not judgmental. It's Carl Rogers' counselling thing of unconditional positive regard. But yes, emperor type chaps. This is full on male energy. Very, very occasionally, a male card can represent a woman. If this is a full on, yeah, a woman who just sees that to be strong in a male-dominated society, you know, the 80s power dressing with the shoulder pads and trying to make yourself look like a man. Personally, I don't go with that. I believe in female strength, which is what I say when we talk about the card of strength. But hey, come on. The Emperor needn't necessarily be a lover, needn't necessarily be human. That's an odd way of putting it, isn't it? It just came, but needn't necessarily be a person. The Emperor could be could be your landlord, if perhaps you might be talking to somebody who rents a house and they're worried about being evicted. Yeah, these are the problems that people come to you with. So a landlord would be a typical emperor type person, but perhaps that person rents a house from a company or a housing association rather than a private individual. The emperor obviously can be your boss at work, in which case this may be a female boss if she's a very if she sees the role of being a manager as being the stern father rather than Anita Roddick style, the caring mother figure. Could be work itself. If you work for a big bureaucracy, the army would think about it. If you had to come up with a tarot card that represented the army, it would be the Emperor or maybe the King of Swords, wouldn't it? But the army, that's full on masculine energy and, you know, big sprawling bureaucratic organization. But if you work for a global corporation, or maybe you work for like the Inland Revenue, you work for the tax office or something, you're working for an empire. So very often the emperor turns up as what's crossing people, what's stopping them from moving forward. People might have issues with the bank. They might be they've applied for a loan to start a business, they've applied for a mortgage in order to be able to move to buy a house, or they're trying to extend their mortgage so they can move house. You get a lot of questions about moving house. So the bank would appear as the emperor. Yeah. So if the emperor turns up in a reading where you have the lovers, then you're kind of thinking, yes, he probably is a lover, or the Two of Cups, the minor equivalent. But don't necessarily assume this is an actual human being. Could be an empire in some form. Yeah. But yes, emperor type men. I'm kind of quite grateful to them really, because they kept me in a job for a long time. But you'd be amazed how often somebody's father or even father-in-law appears in a reading. So don't assume that every man in a woman's reading is her partner, because there are lots of other men in our lives. There are lots of other male characters in our lives. Yeah. It is more complicated than you first think. And of course, what we have here, bull's horns, come on. Even if you've read the really basic astrology stuff, we all know, yes, Taurus. This is earth energy, earth money, very down to earth, very stubborn emperor type chaps. It's their way or the highway. Yeah, you know, they may have their faults, but being wrong isn't one of them. Obviously And here he is, yet more bulls here. Again, sitting still on a throne, the King of Coins. Yeah, he does have bulls on the back of his throne, doesn't he? The minor equivalent. So if you have the you'll often do a reading and you'll get the Emperor and the King of Coins. Very often the same man appearing twice, appearing in two positions in a reading, perhaps one in the present, one in the future. Yeah. He's not an emotional person. If he's a lover, you know, these very earthed, very down to earth, very practical men tend to see quite practical solutions to all problems. Yeah, that they can make great life partners, but the lady will find herself in a position of needing to look for emotional support elsewhere, which is probably what she came to you for a tarot reading, is that sort of emotional support, which I think most of us really, well, a lot of us tend to go to our female friends for. Yes, so there we are. There's a lot goes on with the Emperor. Just think empire, male energy, practical, down to earth, and usually a lot of money tied up with a lot of money tied up in empires. Yeah. We will be looking at the card of in the Rider-Waite Tarot. He's called the Hierophant. We will be looking at the Pope a bit later, because this is more male energy. This is someone else who obviously is in charge of people. There he is. There are two monks kneeling in front of him, but he is a spiritual being, so it has quite a different feel to it. So we will be looking at the card of the Pope on another time. Yeah, these are all the people that the Fool meets on his journey, and of course the point is that he learns lessons from each of them. So the Empress is contrasted with the High Priestess. The Emperor, the male Emperor, is contrasted with the Pope. Yeah, so we'll be looking at the Pope and the Hierophant sometime later, but yeah, money is a very, very powerful force. A lot of people use money as a way of expressing love. Yeah. It's a neutral force. There you are. Tarot, you can learn tarot really quickly. You can then spend the rest of your life sharpening that skill. It really is quite amazing. But we're here to help. Do subscribe to my channel. Do check out my other videos, and I do hope to see you again soon. Take care.